Welcome back, everybody. We pick up right where we left off here. Episode 2 of the Diamond Blades podcast. Well, myself, Adam Naz, joined by sports radio host Shukri Nazz. What's going on tonight, man? How are we hanging?
Oh, man. Night turned into day, apparently, because, clearly, some people haven't woken up just yet. How are you doing the day after, you know?
I'm hanging. It was a great night. Big shout out to, if you listen to this, you were there last night, Crack Irish Pub. We got it popping. I wonder how the rest of the guys are doing. Me and Justin here, we're hanging in. Good thing we're recording around.
Justin's looking a little peachy on the other side. You know what I mean?
We got a 12:53 tip-off here, so back in action. A lot of stuff to go over tonight in terms of the baseball and hockey world.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on with Rob Manfred, and, is baseball eventually going to begin? On the other side, it's been a nice month ending there for the Boston Bruins. Jeremy Swayman named Rookie of the Month.
Oh, yeah.
Jake DeBrusk has played well, getting all the guys back from suspensions. It's great to see. Any takes on that before we give the break to the go?
I think the big story for me is Jeremy Swayman, because I'm a firm believer that if the Bruins are going to make any sort of run in the playoffs, it starts with goaltending. And the fact that you have your goaltender playing as well as he is right now, since the announcement of Tuukka Rask, which, by the way, was the last episode that we did, the man's been unbelievable. So I really am looking at Jeremy Swayman, and I'm like, man, this guy is good enough to maybe just steal you around. Is it a lot to ask for? No. But is it realistic? Sure. My expectations for Jeremy Swayman at this point, given how well he's played, and not just against bottom-tier teams, he's beat some of the best teams in the league in the stretch, is that I think this guy is good enough to win a round, and I do think that right now things are really trending in the right direction for the Boston Bruins. You talked about Jake DeBrusk playing on that top line where Marchand and Bergeron has done him wonders. And I've seen a couple of people on Twitter, some of my followers, they'll say, well, you just put anybody on the top line and play with Marchand and Bergeron, they're going to automatically be better. Not necessarily the case. The difference between DeBrusk and Craig Smith when he was on that top line is that DeBrusk has that north-south speed, and that can generate chances and create problems, especially matchup problems against opposing defensemen. So if you're the Boston Bruins right now, you really have to be happy and thrilled with what you've seen out of Jake DeBrusk, despite the pending trade request that he still has left on the table for the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, well, if we're just gonna dive into hockey right away, I'm all in. Jake DeBrusk, when he requested the trade, it was kind of like a "who are you" type of thing. You saw the same thing with, I think, then Kill Harry comparisons, pretty equivalent there.
Oh yeah.
But for him to playing with good players is going to help your trade stock, whether he gets traded at the, March something deadline? When's the deadline,
March 21st.
March 21st, trade deadline. So, if they decide to push him, but it makes the other lines become more balanced than what you saw the other night from Weymouth local, Charlie Coyle, and what Craig Smith did the other night.
Yeah.
Had two Genos there. Pasternak's just a goal waiting to happen. The guy's an absolute pleasant thing to see around the net. When that 5-1-4 power play, and he does his Ovechkin thing from the slot there.
Yeah, from the left wing circle. Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. Good to see Marchand back. Bergeron has played the best he can, at least right now, and that first line is booming. And I kind of feared, I was just like, if they take Pastrnak off this line, put it on second, it makes them deeper. Kind of like I said in the last episode there.
Yeah.
But it kind of breaks them a little bit that everything gets a little bit more balanced, but the first line kind of goes down where, to your point, I was going to say it myself, but the thing that's come down to it of the Jake DeBrusk game is his speed. And, we always say it on, whatever sound wave I'm on here and hedge better, but speed kills, man. And that's what he's doing on that first line there.
And what you're seeing is a player like DeBrusk flourish with a centerman like Bergeron. As we all know, Bergeron's the best centerman in the NHL, bar none, best two-way centerman, period. You put a player like DeBrusk who is engaged right now, you have a game changer. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. And even Bergeron, in one of his quotes from last week, when he was talking about Jake DeBrusk, and one of the things, I'm paraphrasing what he said, he said that Jake DeBrusk is a really good player when he's engaged. Because we've seen times where DeBrusque is on the ice and he is just completely clocked out.
Taking plays off.
Like taking plays off. He's completely clocked out. But what you have seen is DeBrusque really engaged on plays. Like he's hard on the forecheck. He's creating scoring chances and so forth. And I also want to make a point about like the top nine in particular, the first three lines.
Yep.
What you're seeing now as a result of DeBrusque is that you're now seeing the bottom six also begin to take shape and really begin to step up big. I don't know how many people have talked about this, but it was really today where I felt like this was the first time that I've heard anybody anywhere in terms of the Boston sports media landscape really talk about Erik Haula and what he's doing on that second line center. He's been tremendous. And as much as we talk about Taylor Hall and David Pastrnak on that second line, but you got to give credit to Erik Haula. Like, he's really stepped his game up. And then you look at that third line with Charlie Coyle and Craig Smith and so forth. Like, you really have to be thrilled in terms of how the Bruins have progressed and now how that they've become a harder team to check against, and things are really looking good for this team so far.
For me, for the Bruins, I think the last at least 5 to 7 years it comes down to secondary scoring.
Yeah,
it comes down to goaltending, and this year in particular, like, I don't think there's any better of a competing fourth line. If you really want to get down to the brass tacks of a fourth line in the NHL than the Bruins. Like, Nick Foligno, his days are numbered in the NHL. He's had a great career, but he's a great fourth liner to have. Trent Frederick, when he gets in there, he makes the most of his opportunities.
Yeah.
Curtis Lazar's my guy. I was hearing something, I think, when he got drafted, I think he was like first-round guy in 2013, and even though I don't think he's lost a step, he just hasn't had the best career. He's not a first liner, like bottom line. So his career has been, here and there, but he's dominating on that fourth line when he gets the opportunity. I just think those guys, as you start to fill up the lines, like you're saying itself, and it's not just going to come from the first and second lines. This team is going to have to be deep. And on the goalie situation, how about Jeremy Swayman, man? I knew this kid as being a Hobie Baker finalist with UMaine. I knew once I heard he was on the Bruins, drafted out by the Bruins, I'm like, this guy's going to be the future. And I know it was a West Coast road trip where those teams outside of Vegas really don't have that good of records, but he really held his own. That was a big win too. I think 5-2 there. Was it 5-2?
Which game?
The Golden Knights game, the most recent one. He was outstanding there at 35 plus saves or something like that. And it seems like for a 23-year-old, he's really holding his own for being a starting goaltender in the NHL. Not even just that, but filling in some tough boots for where Tuukka Rask leaves. And this team goes as far as him. I think if they can win a playoff series, that's big. I'm not big on this. They're comparing these Bruins to the Blues team that beat us in 2019.
No.
Yeah, I do get it. Like, the rookie goaltender kind of changed everything, but let's see the season play out a little bit more. At the end of the day, we're still a wild card team. I mean, you have the best, probably, I think, either first or second best record the last month or even since like the new year, and you're still a wild card team. That just tells you how good this Eastern Conference is, at least in the Atlantic Division there with Tampa Bay. Florida's had a great season. Toronto's right there. Yeah. And then actually they got a chance tonight. The Columbus is, I feel like this, like, the seedings, like who's in, who's out, has been determined since like November. But if you haven't noticed in the NHL world, the Columbus Blue Jackets have actually been playing some really good hockey. Yeah. They're still like 10 points behind the Capitals, but Bruins have a chance tonight to put them in the sin bin and kind of move on and try to get a division spot instead of a wild card. Either way, you're going to play a tough team, and you're probably going to be on the road the first two games. But at the end of the day, if we want to get down the line of talking about playoffs, it really doesn't matter where you're playing in the NHL in the playoffs.
Exactly. Yeah. And you want to go back just a few moments ago when you're talking about like young goaltenders. Like, he is one of the better young goaltenders in the league and have been for the last a couple of months. In that same conversation, you could also include Igor Shesterkin of the New York Rangers as well, who right now is the leading candidate to win the Vezina Trophy for the best goalie in the NHL. I don't know how many Bruin fans watch other teams outside of like the Bruins, but Shesterkin has been absolutely outstanding, and one of the major reasons why the Rangers are truly.
I was wondering why
like,
they're spiking it. That's the reason why.
Like why the Rangers are truly like one of the legitimate contenders, to come out of the East to go to the Cup final, because they have been that good. But going back to Swayman, I think if Swayman is going to succeed, number one, it's gonna come down to how do the Bruins defend in front of their own end, and then also, can the secondary scoring continue into the playoffs? We can sit here and talk about here on March 5th, like how well the Bruins are playing and so forth, especially given that they're getting scoring from the third and fourth lines. But will that translate in the playoffs? That's another question. And now with the playoffs still another month and a half away, that's something that I am most interested in seeing as to how things develop over the home stretch of the season.
For sure, and the trade deadline's coming up. Back to the secondary scoring thing. I feel like every time I hop on a podcast, like every 2 weeks, I'm saying, "Oh, we need this. We're getting it," and then the 2 weeks later, "Oh, we needed some more." So I think they're not going to be sellers. That'll be for sure. Like that's out of the question.
Oh yeah,
they're going to be trying to take on. I think you need like at least a centerman on the second line, or even a winger.
For sure.
Everyone's talking about that hot dog eating Phil Kessel.
I've talked about him.
Yeah. No, like I think that's he used to be a Boston guy. That's good, but I'm also looking at another guy on the Coyotes roster. Played at BU, Clayton Keller, and he's got like
good.
20
He's
plus points.
He's a stud.
He's a stud. He's a guy who's could be tradable. I think we have enough assets to, get someone good at the deadline and really push this thing forward, because what they've been missing, like secondary, which not the last 2 weeks, is a guy like David Krejci to help out Taylor Hall in that second line. And Pasternak's come in and done well, but you've had to move around your lines to really obtain success. And if you can get a couple more guys to fill the depth chart, not just when I say the fourth, they probably have the best fourth line in the league, but I don't want to see a fourth liner on second line.
Oh no, not a lot. That in itself will create like matchup problems, especially when you face like elite teams come to playoffs. So I don't know about you, but I'm kind of like fired up for the NHL playoffs to start. Like I know it doesn't start until the beginning of May, like with the regular season ending around April 30th.
Yep.
I'm just like, can the playoffs just kind of get here already? Like I'm ready. In fact, the other day I was thinking about, early May, Stanley Cup playoffs, first round in Boston. We both know how things get, specifically when it comes to the Bruins and the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like it's just a whole different atmosphere in Boston altogether. Like I'm just like champing at the bits, man. Like I'm ready.
Yeah, like, you go to a Bruins regular season game. Yeah, you're gonna have fun. You're gonna see some good hockey.
Yeah,
but like come playoff time, you're gonna get
after.
You're gonna get rowdy.
And,
if the season's on the line, whether it's an elimination game or game one, the season is on the line. Looking at the opponents, in the next couple weeks, looks like they got a pretty favorable schedule. They're on the road against Columbus tonight. Not sure when the pod's gonna drop, but I think they get a win there. I think the win happens.
Yeah,
and then you got Los Angeles, you got Chicago twice, you got Arizona, and then I think Minnesota. Is Minnesota having a decent year?
Minnesota's having a very good year. Yeah.
That's the game TNT matchup. Actually, I'm looking at the schedule right now, but they have more of an opportunity to not even just separate themselves in the wild card standings, but fish for a division spot.
Yeah,
and that's instead of playing one of these heavy hitters when I don't even know who's going to win either one. You have both Florida teams at the top, and then who's on the other side? The Rangers are around there, right?
The Rangers, I believe, they're top 3 last time I checked. In the Metropolitan Division.
Yeah, we'll check it out. We got Carolina at top, actually, 81 points, and then Pittsburgh 77, Rangers 75.
Yeah.
Carolina's been a wagon.
And the Rangers just won last night on 3-1 over the Devils, in which, again, I was talking about Shesterkin. He truly stole the show. Like, I mean, we talk about Shesterkin being one of the best young goalies in the league. Like, he has been a force. And interestingly enough, I was listening to a show that's based up in Canada from Sportsnet. And they were talking about like one of the Eastern Conference playoff teams, specifically the Rangers, for example. I'm bringing up the Rangers because, but I know Bruin fans who are going to be listening to this and whatnot. But I mentioned the Rangers because if there's a team in the Eastern Conference, now we obviously know about Tampa Bay and Carolina and so forth. But if there's a team that I truly believe that is going to be extremely dangerous, should the Bruins end up facing them in the playoffs if they get that far, it's the New York Rangers.
You think?
Because I genuinely believe that because you go back to last year. We all remember the incident between Tom Wilson and I'm trying to remember who it was. I believe it was I can't remember who it was, but I think it was Artemi Panarin. Now that I think about it, yeah. And they went out and they added legitimate grit to this team. And I know right now, like Barclay Goodrow, one of their free agent signings, is on an injured list, but he'll be back at some point. He is a difference maker, and we saw that for the last 2 years when he was with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Absolute difference maker on this team, and you get a guy like Ryan Reese, for example. Oh man, this is a team that not only has skill, but you talk about grit. But you add in a goaltender like Shesterkin, and in the year that he's having,
yeah, it's just like real tough. These like playoff, it's not 1 through 8. Like if you get a 2 or 3 seed, like you're gonna play a really good team.
Yeah, exactly.
Like like if it's the Rangers versus Pittsburgh, like Pittsburgh's has been kind of on the down slopes the past couple of years. This is a year.
But this year they've been up.
Yeah,
they've been trending
up this year. I'm still not buying. I know Carolina's kicked the hell out of the Bruins every time.
Yeah.
I'm still not buying it. I love Sebastian Aho's game. He's like one of the top centermen in the game. But I just think at the end of the day, a bunch of choke artists until I see other.
I don't think that they're choke artists this year. But what I will tell you this is that you look at Carolina.
Yep.
And the year that they're having now and where they currently are. They are formidable because they are a team that literally can play any style of hockey you want. You want to play physical and heavy? They have that kind of team. That you want to play a game with skill and finesse? They have that kind of game. Goaltending.
Frederick Anderson, choke artist.
He has had a good season so far, but man, the playoffs, I am legitimately worried because you can take the man out of Toronto, but the man's track record in the playoffs, he kind of was on the team that blew a 3-1 series lead to Montreal last year. So
we'll get Steel Naz caller Nicky Knuckles. He calls in and just screams Anderson. The guy's a choke artist. I have zero respect for him. The Hurricanes were like a cute team to root for the past couple of years. They got
a cute team.
Yeah, who's the head coach there? Why am I forgetting?
Oh, Rod Brindamore.
He's done a hell of a job. And
he won the Jack Adams last season.
Especially like the first season he was there. But like this is the time now where they have to go like above and beyond, and have a chance to get to the cup. If they don't do that this year, I'm calling them all. I'll continue to call them all frauds because I just don't see it happening. Like if they get as much as they have the Bruins number, if the Bruins play them in the playoffs, I'd feel pretty good about it.
Honestly, this is the year I really believe that the Eastern Conference is really stacked in terms of the current 8 teams that are in playoff position. We obviously know the Bruins are in one of those spots. The other 7.
The season's
Tampa Bay,
the season's been over since November.
Right. Tampa, let's go through the other 7.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Toronto.
Yeah. Florida's been a very good, surprising team.
All right, so that's 4. Pittsburgh is 5. And wait, who else am I forgetting?
It's like a horse race, so like any of them can win.
Yeah. Like, sheesh. I mean, goodness grief.
Oh, okay. So so you have on that Atlantic side, you have Tampa Bay, Florida, and Toronto. On the other half, you have the Hurricanes, you have Pittsburgh, and you have the Rangers. And the wild cards right now, it's the Bruins and Washington bouncing back.
In Washington. Yeah, so you have those other teams, and you're like, man, I mean, any of those teams could go for a run here, it get wild, which is why I've said this for years, and I firmly believe that the Stanley Cup playoffs, there's nothing like it in professional sports, period. Because if anything that 2019 taught us, which was the regular Stanley Cup playoffs before the pandemic began, anything can happen in the first round. I don't think we'll see anything as wild as the 2019 Stanley Cup playoffs for a long time. Maybe this is the year. Maybe something like that could happen. But 2019 just really proved that, anything can happen in the playoffs.
It's so depressing to think about it because think about it. Tampa Bay lost to
128-point team and lost in the first round to Columbus. Got swept.
And the Washington
Capitals, they lost that same night. They lost, and I think double overtime to Carolina.
Yeah, laid an egg. And then you get all the way to the Cup, Game 7, and you just
and you don't even show up for St. Louis.
My head was on a bar by the second period, just so upset. I hate it.
I watched that game at Porter's Bar. Shout out to Porter's Bar and Grill by the Garden.
Nice.
I still remember vividly just how angry I was in that second period. Like it was like the energy was dead. It was like everybody knew that it was over by that point when it was 2-0. Mm-hmm. But that spring of 2019 was unforgettable.
Oh, for sure. So including we're going to do the power play round as a hockey today.
Yeah.
So hockey and baseball are live right now. We're going to keep it going. Football's in the at least rear view up until even I didn't watch any of the combine.
I watched a little bit of the combine, a little bit, but not much. Malik Mills, that quarterback, he looks like a real legitimate prospect. In a year where the quarterback prospects coming out of college is not very deep. He looked pretty good.
Yeah, big shout out to my boy EJ Perry from Brown, 4'6", 40 as a quarterback.
It's pretty good.
He'll go late rounds, undrafted, but. I covered some football games this year, and I got to interview him. Really, really good guy. And I think I went to a game where it was Harvard Brown, and Harvard won 49-14. He got,
wow.
No, but I was still wow, this kid's, despite losing by 30, they were in the red zone every time. Someone just fumbled. So he can run, he can sling it. He's a transfer from BC. So any NFL coaches listening to this right now, okay, get him on your board.
Yeah.
Good guy there. The power play round, though. So we're going David Pastrnak scored his 30th goal of the season versus the Las Vegas Golden Knights. His fifth 30-goal season. I think he's 25.
He's 25, yeah.
25, and tied fourth most in Bruins history. Is he an all-time great goal scorer in Bruins history? Out of the gate, yes. That's an easy one. He could get to the top if he stays with them long enough. I just think he's always my definition of him. He's always at the right place at the right time. And if you're like that in hockey, they talk about in basketball all the time. How does he do without the ball? How does he do without the puck? His game is spot on. At least on the offensive end, he's been way better as a back checker throughout the last couple seasons.
Still has his defensive shortcomings.
Yep.
But, which I was actually thinking about this on the train, on the way here, and I'm I like him offensively, but for God's sakes, I cannot stand him defensively because he is too turnover prone. And I feel like overall Bruin fans, we don't have that conversation enough where we're as offensively as gifted as he is. And obviously we all know he's a superstar, but man, defensively he kills me. But to go back to the question. My answer to that is, you look at the names that he's behind already.
Who's on that list? They mentioned a couple studs who played. Was it Cam Neely?
It was Cam Neely was on that list, yeah.
Bergie too, maybe.
Bergeron is on that list as well. But it goes to tell you, this is someone who he's 25 years old. He's just entering the prime of his career. This is someone who absolutely has had the gift of putting the puck in the back of the net for several years now.
Yep.
It's amazing to think between when he was first drafted and got called up in 2014-15, I don't think anybody could have forecasted just how good he was going to and the thing that I think a lot of Bruin fans forget that he really fell into the Bruins' lap at the 25th overall pick, which was shocking.
For him.
Yeah.
And I think, too, back on the DeBrus point, too, I think that he would have scored no matter where he went. But having the opportunity to be on the same line as Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand, I mean, that's got to upstart anyone's career. At some point, you're seeing third line scrub Jake DeBrusk come out of the woodwork and have 3 goals the other night because he's playing with those two. So it seems like anyone can do it now. Yeah, get me on skates, right? Yeah. But so my question on here. Do you think he's the most valuable player on the team? Not even just MVP, but like if you were going to trade someone and get a ton of stuff in return, is Dave Pastrnak like the most valuable on this team?
It's not even a question. Yeah,
it's not even a question.
Absolutely. Like you're trading away your best scoring winger. Yeah. Period. Like you're not going to.
How close is Swayman? I think Swayman's 2. Most valuable right now.
Swayman is close. Yeah. Marchand, like you asked me to pick one. We're not doing top 5. We're picking one because we need something that's challenging. That's going to create back and forth. Where I am going to go and say like Pastrnak is more valuable than Swayman right now.
Yeah.
Because the reality is this: you take away Swayman, not Swayman, but you take away Swayman, and does the team backpedal a little bit? Yeah, because Omar has not been getting the job done as a backup.
You could make a hell of a debate, and I agree with you. Pasternak's the most valuable player on this team, but you could even debate that if you get rid of Jeremy Swayman, this team takes way more of a back turn than it would if they got rid of David Pastrnak there. So I think that's a hell of an argument in itself. I just think if Linus Ullmark's your starting goalie going to the playoffs, I think you're screwed.
I just thought of an amazing idea.
Yep.
You're about to thank me in just a moment.
There we go.
Twitter poll.
Twitter poll?
Oh, yeah. Twitter poll time.
He's in it.
Yeah. So, if you aren't already, follow me on Twitter at Shukri Wrights, at SHUKRI, What's your Twitter poll? Your Twitter handle? What? I'm not even thinking of saying shit straight. I'm sorry.
Okay. I think you're on. I think your head's on Kowloon right now, right?
Yeah, it is. It kind of is right now. But I'm focused on the podcast. Trust and believe. Like, but
just blowing smoke. We're so hockey segment complete.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna get on. This is Major League Baseball. There's been no baseball played, but there's been some almost plays in some. Meeting rooms, and Rob Manfred continues to smile. They need to stop treating us like we're idiots. It's those quotes are crazy. Jeff Passan, great ESPN reporter, has been all over this. It's a goddamn shame because it's coming down to pennies now, and the owners are just trying to stick it to the players.
No question.
For me as a fan of baseball, and you'll probably disagree with this, I don't mind that the games are cut. I don't care if it's like a 130 game season. I think baseball is just too long anyways. As like a person thinking of the players and everything like that, I feel wicked bad for the minor leaguers because I said this in the last episode that the minor leaguers are going to suffer. The guys who are just right on the cusp are going to have a tough time, getting themselves on a roster because if the season doesn't start till who knows now, maybe May or June, you're talking about a guy, maybe even Tristan Casas who would have got a call up in May or June. Now you're talking about he might be in the September.
And from the look of things, look like Tristan Casas looks like he's the real deal.
Yeah, and I'm just saying in terms of getting called up. Now the timeline's different. Now we're probably going to talk about more of a September call up if the Red Sox were in play for the postseason.
Right.
It's a shame, and I feel like any other league would just figure this out. I think the NFL's done a great job when they've had engagements about contracts and things like that.
And even the CBA, because if you go back to the summer of 2020 when they negotiated the new CBA. Although there are players that were not happy with the actual terms of it, but the fact that they were able to get it done, and then you go back to the NFL before that in 2011, they had their the lockout, but was it a lockout or it was something that went on in the spring of 2011 where the league they were trying to negotiate a new.
It was similar.
It was something similar, but it was off season.
Yeah.
Like
I
this
don't
is
recall 10 years ago. I don't know what I did yesterday. Actually, I do know what I did yesterday. But yeah.
right, but if you go back and you look at also including the NHL in the same conversation, 2020, same thing. Mm-hmm. They figured it out. Baseball is the one sport in pro sports in North America that can't get its head out of its ass. And it makes me genuinely angry because I can't believe that you had fucking 2 years to get this figured out. Going back to 2020, and I was talking about this on my radio show earlier this week, in which from the time of the delayed start of the 2020 Major League Baseball season, not just because of the pandemic, but because you couldn't quit bitching over pennies on a dollar and get out of your own way to be the first pro sports to restart again after the shutdown due to the pandemic. This was going to be a prelude of what was going to come. And I said it then in 2020, in summer of 2020. If this is going to be any sort of preview of what's to come when it's time to negotiate a new CBA, baseball is going to be in a world of trouble. And I was right.
I would just like to get like a true like Rob Manfred or like any of those like executives or like owners or whoever's going against the players of their exact antidote of why this isn't getting done. Because you see on the players' side, they're just completely coming out and saying, even a guy like Max Scherzer who's making like $40 million a year, these rules don't even apply to him. They apply to the guys who, minimum wage, not minimum wage, but minimum contract. I think they're pushing between whatever it was, like $650 and $700K for like the league minimum of what you're making. So he's fighting for all the players in the league. So you have to get the players are obviously we're all losing of not getting baseball, but they're the big time good guys in this whole situation. Sure. And it's good to see a guy like Max. I've always had respect for Max Scherzer, especially the year that he was on the Nationals there. That was just I can't believe they won type of thing.
2019,
yeah, 2019, and then him losing to the Red Sox. That was good in 2013. So thank you for that. But great guy here. One of the better pitchers of at least my generation. And
no question.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's good to see a guy like that come out where he doesn't have to do all that. And I can't believe that Tony Clark's still like the head of everything. It seemed like it's been like that for years.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that he still has the influence and power that he does. Mm-hmm. But how about Scott Boras? The influence that he's had on these negotiations has been quite palpable now.
Yep.
And it's become more and more of a conversation, at least locally, where I think that in itself has been the most shocking, given that there had been like a lack of leadership from the Players Association side. Scott Boras has stepped up to the front because, listen, this is the most powerful agent probably in pro sports.
Oh, without a question.
Like,
course, yeah.
So he said, you know what? You want to negotiate this? Fine. You got to be more unified. And holy hell, have the players been more unified? I don't think I've seen the Players Association have been as unified as they have on this one ever. So this is definitely something.
Yeah. Now there's some interesting stuff like just regarding all like the agreement rules and one's like the shift. I think for me as like I played baseball like in college. I think they should get rid of more. I think the rule should be you can't go past the base. Like if you're a middle infielder, you can't like go over there. I think
get rid of it altogether.
Yeah, I think there's points of it where you need a little bit of it. I think you need a little bit of like cheating there. It's not cheating if you ain't what's the lady talking?
But more like if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. But yeah, that's one where I think it's a little hit or miss where it shouldn't go completely all the way. I think for playoffs, I think more playoff games, more fun. I know the players don't want that, but I think that's another one too where they should just keep the playing game. And I know if you could be a second place team, just say example AL East, and you have a great record, so you have to play one game to determine if you're playing in the playoffs or not. That's a tough predicament, but like that's going to happen. Not everyone's going to be happy with. No one's ever happy with something you do in general. Like there's going to be naysayers. There's going to be
for sure
people who want it, but I think that's a big one where get all the teams involved because even like the second place team, besides this year the Yankees, it's usually like a pretty cool team, like a team like the Twins that aren't always in it, or like I don't know some team that
some smaller market teams that are
exactly.
Yeah. By the way, you back on the Twitter poll, which is what I'm looking at now. So far, and it's only been 7 minutes so far.
Yep.
You've been right. A lot of Bruin fans on Twitter on this Twitter poll, I put the 3 options, Jeremy Swayman. So to rewind a little bit, who is the most valuable player on the Boston Bruins right now? That was a Twitter question posted by me, Shukri Nazz, on Twitter, which you can find. Bang. Jeremy Swayman, David Pastrnak, and I put down as a third option as Marchand Bergeron. 44% so far, keyword, so far, have said that Jeremy Swayman is the most valuable player on the Bruins right now. Pastrnak is in second place at 28%. And this is at the time of this recording, by the way.
Yep, Saturday, March 5th.
Exactly.
1:28 p.m.
And other Marchand Bergeron, it looks like they're tied at 28% apiece.
So that will play itself out.
Yeah.
It's obviously, for the fans, it's coming down to who's hot right now. And I guess they're hot right now, but Swayman hasn't been this hot for the Bruins in history. I mean, he's had a small sample size, but it's good to see. It's great to get the hockey back in. I'm talking baseball. I love going back and forth.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then going back to baseball, oh, man, there was something that really stood out to me from last week, and that was Mike Trout. Did you see the statement that he put out?
I don't have it in my head.
No,
but I think it was more of.
I don't need you to have it in your head. I can always just pull it up. It's not a big deal.
Oh yeah, no, that's cool.
Now, did you hear about it at least? Like
I did hear about it. I don't have it on me. I just want to say about Mike Trout. It's unfortunate. He got hurt last season.
Yeah,
in the prime of his career. That and a guy like Mookie Betts, you don't want to take any at bats away from these guys. These guys are living legends in its own. At least Mike Trout. I think Mookie Betts will obviously get there. Need some more time, but future Hall of Famers. It's crazy that Mike Trout has already hit like they did that top whatever it was 100. Best of all time players, and he's already in like the top 15, which is wild to me.
By the way, so I want to get back to that point in just a moment. This is what he said. He tweeted this out 2 days ago. It was actually 3 days ago because he tweeted it out on Wednesday.
Yep.
I want to play. I love our game, but I know we need to get the CBA right. Instead of bargaining in good faith, MLB locked us out. Instead of negotiating a fair deal, Rob canceled games. Players stand together for our game, for our fans, and for every player who comes after us. We owe it to the next generation. When Mike Trout speaks, everybody listens.
Oh yeah,
because it's not very often that the preeminent superstar of your sport speaks.
And I think too, Mike, you can tell when a person is talking to help of others, and when it's all about me. That statement in general, I think everyone knew going into that statement before that Mike Trout's like a stand-up great guy. But that even proves more of it's not about me. I'm the best player in the league. Yeah, it's about
the next generation that's coming up, and we've talked about like. Some of the best prospects the Yankees, like all Yankees and Red Sox, are going to have coming up through the minor league system, they're right there. Their future is another year and a half, 2 years at most away. So for me, it's like people have to understand the CBA is not just about the current players that are playing in the major leagues now. Guys like Max Scherzer, for example, are closer to the end than they are closer to the beginning of their careers.
That's a good point. It wears on tears on everyone. Yeah, you have the take of it's killing prospects, but if you have a guy in Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, who are in their late
who are
30s,
both Hall of Famers, by the way,
who are in their late 30s, you're kind of ending the last hurrah they have of their careers, and it's tough to see. Even we're talking about Mike Trout, who's in the middle of his career, still in his prime, I believe.
Yeah.
The time in his prime. So it's taking up time, and it stinks because obviously there's still COVID stuff going on, but we were in like deep COVID the past couple of years, which really...
And now things are much lighter now. Much lighter.
Yeah, so that's like that stuff, at least like for protocols and stuff, is basically over.
It's done, yeah.
So now let's play baseball, and then all of a sudden they're telling you can't because of the lockout.
And that's the thing that makes me sick because, all right, last year you had a regular postseason for the first time since 19. Going into the season, there was so much hope and excitement in terms of what's going to happen, who's going to go where, because you still have a very, very deep free agent pool of players that have yet to have signed with their new teams. Mm-hmm. I mean, only Max Scherzer, Marcus Semien, Corey Seager have signed big contracts with their new teams already prior to the lockout.
It's gonna be so electric when that comes because I have a gut feeling that they all know where they're going. And they're just waiting for the deal to happen, and then it's just going to happen like wildfire.
There's no waiting for the new CBA to the lockout to be lifted.
That's what I'm saying.
So people are going to be wondering like, where is Carlos Correa going to sign? Like, or like, where are some of the other like top like free agents are going to sign? Like, it's going to be absolute bedlam. And for right now, the first week of games have been canceled. How many more games will be canceled? Only time will tell. But right now, I just don't think that the season is going to be starting anytime soon. Now, when I mean anytime soon, I mean in the next couple of months. Because the way that the owners are moving at this point, and yes, I'm putting it 100% on the owners, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck, and it shows. Like, because if there was any true, genuine, like, urgency to get a deal done, they would be at the negotiating table right now as we currently speaks. The fact that Rob Manfred went in front of the camera on Wednesday, smiled, said what he said, left, and for there to be no sort of word as to when the Players Association and the owners were going to be meeting to get a deal done, that told me everything I needed to know. The lackadaisical attitude that these guys have is just so appalling. And it's like, you want to release a statement? That's why I tweeted out in response, literally, go fuck yourself, because you're literally showing the people who care deeply about the sport that you don't give a damn.
And if you look at it in retrospect, too, all these owners and stuff are billionaires, so they don't care about money. So they're not hurting anyone except the players themselves. So if they can take a couple months off and, chill by their yacht, wait for a deal to get done, and then instead you're playing 100 games instead of 162, I think they'd rather that every season. So I think now it's unfortunate that the players are not giving in yet, but they might have to play in the hand in order to play any baseball this season, and it's sad to see. Back on the free agent thing, I mean, I pulled up here. So Carlos Correa, Chris Bryant still unsigned, Freddie Freeman, who knows, could be going.
That's another great.
Back to could be going to the Yankees, could be staying home with the Braves. Trevor Story's been great on the Rockies. Nick, it's a 3-0 count. Castellanos on the whatever it is. And then who else? I love Jock Peterson, too. He's a good one. He's unsigned. That'd be a good pickup for whoever gets him. But we did it 2 weeks ago. I liked it because you're a Yankees guy. I'm a Red Sox guy. I'll spin it to you first, and you can throw it whoever you want. Who are you excited to see when the eventual season starts?
Wow. For me, I really want to see where Trevor Story ends up.
Oh, okay.
Because if you are a baseball fan outside of like the major markets, you probably don't know just how good Trevor Story is, and not just because he plays in Denver, as that's been the knock for years against guys that have had the premium bat and the platinum, specifically the premium offense. Like most notably in recent memory, Nolan Arenado comes to mind. He's been one of the best offensive shortstops in the game for the last few years.
Arenado,
like Arenado, like the best third baseman overall in the game right now.
His throws are just that at arms,
and his offense, he proved it. He proved it in his first year in St. Louis. But you talk about Trevor Story specifically. I just wonder where he going to end up. I mean, because I've heard it from Yankee fans, well, I think Trevor Story will be an upgrade at short, blah, blah, blah. And the question is going to become, who are you going to, how much are you going to be willing to pay?
He's
because and then on top of that, you still have DJ LeMahieu, the machine at second base, who's a utility infielder, and then also Gleyber Torres. So that's why the fit, I don't see it working with the Yankees, but
who's their starting shortstop game one right now?
Right now, if game one was tomorrow,
Torres? Is he playing third?
I think it's short.
Short? Yeah.
I do think it's short, but however, I just don't think that that's tough. Because you got LeMahieu, who's your second baseman. That shouldn't change. Torres is too valuable of a bat. Although he struggled defensively with his glove in the infield, playing short last year. But I absolutely believe, when he's right, you're going to see a guy who can hit 40 home runs. And he nearly did that in 2019 when he hit 38. So I do think that ultimately, if you are a Yankee fan, you're thinking, well, how would Trevor Story even fit? I don't know. That's tough. Someone would have to get moved, but that's a fascinating topic in itself.
Yeah, I feel like since Jeter left, they've just been rocking up. I know Didi Gregorius is good too.
He did a very admirable job as a Yankee shortstop. Yeah,
yeah, but it's been more of a platoon on that left side.
Specifically since Gregorius left to go sign with the Phillies. Yeah.
Yep. For me, my player, Red Sox, had a tremendous 2021 postseason. I almost forgot what year it was. But Kiki Hernandez, you can make the trade for Jackie Bradley Jr. First of all, awful trade.
I hate it.
Yeah, I hated it. What's his name? Despite having a tough postseason, who's the guy there? Why am I forgetting his name? The right fielder for the. He just got traded to Milwaukee. Hunter Renfroe. Hunter Renfroe hit 30-plus home runs, and you traded him for.
I was surprised because I'm this guy has been the unlikeliest 30 home run hitter the Red Sox had last season. You traded him away, why? So you're gonna go and pursue a guy who could make all the spectacular plays on the outfield.
Yeah, great arm too.
Great arm.
Very underrated right.
But hitter, that man hits below the Mendoza line more often than you can count.
Jackie Bradley.
I'm talking about. Yeah,
he can't even hit his weight. I don't expect. That's why guys are excited for. I kind of thought of it let's see what he can do, but I'm really not excited. I'm excited to see him play defensively. I don't think if he bats .230 for this team with 20 bombs, that's a win. For Kiki Hernandez, he's more than likely going to be the starting second baseman.
Yeah.
I think they'll mix him in the center on Jackie's brief off days or something like that. But we shall see because I think Jarren Duran's going to get involved. But Kiki, can he continue those numbers? Obviously, he's not going to repeat that sensational whatever it was in the postseason there with the backside of the Rays series going into the Astros series.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal. Big fan of his game, though. He can play at any position. I think if you even threw him with some catcher's equipment on, he could do that.
Wow.
But it would be great to see, Verdugo come back, have another good season. And I'm still trying to think of that right side there. I think Jarren Duran's a good candidate there.
Which leads me to ask you this question:
Yep.
If and when the 2022 season gets underway, what's your expectation of Alex Verdugo?
Alex Verdugo, he's my guy. He's a workhorse. If he gets into a hole, he's a guy who bails himself out with just endless dedication to the game. Seems like he's a real hard worker because he beats you in so many ways. He's a great defensive outfielder. He's got a pretty good arm. He can hit for power when you want him to. He hits for average. He's a great 5-tool guy. We'll see if he can make his next step. I think would be to make the All-Star game or something like that. I think that would be pretty cool. But he's got to put up numbers. I think he's a very solid left fielder. It's it's funny how it goes hand in hand. Ben Benintendi there I think he was great for the Sox in left field. Verdugo, I don't think he's up to where Benintendi's ceiling was, but I think his ceiling's higher than Benintendi in my opinion. Maybe
Verdugo?
Maybe on the power side.
Yeah.
but everything else.
I think the power side will develop with more like time and whatnot. But like,
yeah,
but I like Verdugo's power and like especially like playing right field, like which is one of the premium positions, like playing right field at Fenway Park in baseball. Like I think the power will develop, like but it will take time. Like
I just still get hung on and like I wasn't huge on Benintendi, but when he hit like a towering home run, dude, like that like. Well, I'm about to get really dirty there, but that swing was like sex. Okay, that swing was like sex. It's very clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on from the dirty talk. But yeah,
you couldn't say you just. It looked like you were just playing like the violin, like just very very much like poetry in motion.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, always remember the 2018 diving catch. That was incredible.
Game 4 against the Astros.
Dang,
yeah,
all over it. So that's all I kind of had from baseball. Unless you want to talk a little bit more.
I am stunned, but thrilled for someone who I have a good relationship with. In Tony Maserati.
Yep.
The major news that broke this past week. In case if you haven't heard by now, he is right now being in talks. According to him, it's not official. Based on what I know, it's not official just yet. But he is in talks with the Boston Red Sox in regards to becoming one of the TV color analysts for the broadcast on NESN. I'm just thrilled, but I'm also stunned. Here's my reasons why. If you listen to Felger Mass for a number of years now, like I have now, I first started listening to them, I believe it was 2016, around that time.
Yeah, I've been. And I mean, just because I've been a Boston guy, they've been around for a long time
since 2009.
And it hasn't really changed. It's just kind of they give their not just hot takes, but they just give they voice their opinions. And to your point, I'll let you go because he's your guy. But
Maz, the way that he has completely torn the Red Sox a new asshole. Like at times over the years, I'm like, that guy? Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. I mean, Maz, if you ever are go listen to this podcast, don't change. Do not change your criticism of the Red Sox where and when it's warranted. And I'm just thrilled for the guy, but I'm just stunned. Like,
yeah, it's you get
because his track record is like it's been like he's ripped John Henry a new one. That honor goes to Felger.
Yeah, but it's not even that for me. It's not even him as a person. It just you're taking from a rival network.
From NBC Sports Balls. Yeah.
Well, even that, you Fenway, WEEI, you have NESN there, all competing networks. And we say, instead of anyone that you guys have, we're just going to take him. And you're right. I think he will. That's why I don't know if it's going to happen because they are going to have the top. They're going to have
there is a lot to. He talked about it on his show on Wednesday when he said that there's a lot that has to be discussed and I certainly understand, like especially given that when he already has his full-time job with the Sports Hub, obviously being the co-host of Felger and Mass, but then also he has. He has his responsibility for NBC Sports Boston as well. And so it's like competing network, rival radio station to EEI.
Another thing I looked at too, what thinking about this whole topic was, Dennis Eckersley on there, absolute
phenomenal.
Electric, does a great job.
Yeah.
But he gets away with things because he's a Hall of Fame baseball player.
Right.
He can say a lot of things that, not a lot of other people have the threshold to be able to say over the microphone there.
Right.
So he's going to get away with a lot of the stuff, most of the stuff, unless he gets really bad. But, it's interesting to see how big of a boundary, if this actually does happen, that Tony Maz will have. Because I'm not taking anything away from him. Great guy, does a great job at 98.5 there. Yeah. But I'm just saying, you're talking about a Hall of Fame baseball player. Yeah. And that just doesn't happen at NESN. That happens all over the place.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you even look at TNT. I love the Charles Barkley.
Oh, yeah.
At it, but
great example.
No one gets away with the shit that they do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The almost fights, they're the best in the business.
Oh, yeah.
So it's good to see. So that'd be big news. Also, what you got? Kevin Millar, who has been on MLB Network. That's another good guy.
And Kevin Youkilis as well.
Kevin Brady. Yeah, Kevin Brady.
Oh, gosh, Kevin Brady.
I love it. He attacked like Zolak, I remember a couple years ago, and it was I think Zolak was just like wicked disrespectful over Twitter. He was just like, who's the biggest like slow pitch softball player to ever play for the Red Sox?
Wow.
Or something like that. And I think he quote tweeted, it was just like Uke, and then like you just like assassinated him with be like, yeah, you got your claim to fame as a third string quarterback, and now you're on Sports Hub. Good for you, man. just like completely just killed him. So it was. I remember that because I mean I like Zolak and Youkilis, but like Youkilis is a killer, man.
Yeah.
That guy's a killer. Great stuff today. It was good to get here on a Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Had to bounce back. Any last words? I think we have a big Bruins game tonight. I don't know when this
against
recording will
Columbus.
be out.
Yeah.
Columbus. I know we're doing baseball, hockey here, but the Celtics hosting Brooklyn tomorrow, so that'll be a good one. NFL draft coming up sooner.
A month.
Yeah, a month. Yeah. We'll probably get you on the power play around there.
Yeah.
Another thing. I want to thank Hedge Better for everything. Hope everyone enjoyed the conversation. Hope everyone has a great weekend. I just want to give a big shout out to all the Steel and Nazzes around there. We probably capped at like 80 to 100 people last night. Yeah. Big shout out. I guess I'll do it next week too. But Bobby Lights Out Lang, Al Radcliffe, and Francis Hogan for taking the time out of their socializing and stuff to come out and have a night with the boys. So it was a great time.
Oh, for sure. Definitely a blast. And be on a Saturday doing this. I'm like, hey, let's go. So that's definitely it's been a blast. It's been an eventful couple of weeks with baseball and obviously like with the Bruins, but definitely great to be able to talk about all of it today.
Yeah, I gave you the prop in the car, but props to the jersey.
Thank you.
You came ready to play today.
Of course.
Yeah, that's all from Diamond Blades. We'll see you next time.